And welcome to another week of Radio Melee. I'm back from Battle BC, and we got a very special guest who, we were actually going to get on last week, except, of course, Salt was making waves in the coin box bracket, which happens to be at the same time as Radio Melee. We'll figure that out. Welcome to the show, Salt. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How y'all doing?
Yeah. How you doing, PP?
Doing good. Glad to be here. Glad to have Salt on. I think, she's been rising through the ranks for a while, making good plays, fun to watch, and pretty funny on her stream too. Recommend checking her out. And so I think we're gonna have a good time here today. And speaking of, I think, good plays, you had many excellent plays over at Low Tide City a couple weekends ago now, Salt. And so I'm curious, with wins over Axe and Laud, I mean, players that, regardless of whatever you may be saying about any players right now, I mean, those are great wins. Those are good wins, and they really, help elevate, a lot of people's ranks. So I think that's really impressive. And so I'm curious, going into that event, Salt, did you feel like you could get that win? Did you feel like you had prepared one for it? Do you feel like you knew those matchups well?
That's a tough question. I played at the pre-local, and it was just Laud there, along with other people like Smash Poppy, Evans, all of them. And I didn't expect to win that, but I played against Laud and I won, and then I won again. So then when I played at Low Tide, I was like, I guess I could just win this. Probably. Like if I just play good, I could win it. I practice a lot with Swift in the Pika matchup. So but not prior to that, just in the past. So I kind of took the knowledge from that. And then for Laud, it was just can I have the same thought process that I had at the pre-local and just apply it to the Low Tide? And that's how that one worked.
Right. And so with Laud, how were you able to, I mean, did you have the same type of practice? Did you have the same level of practice? Was there any difficult adaptation Laud had you do? Because I think many people talk about how smart he is as a player.
He's very smart. I played him in a coin box
2
months ago, or like 2 or 3 months ago. And so I kind of took what I got from that set and remembered what he would do, but I didn't necessarily prepare for it. I don't really practice against Peach or anything like that. I think it's a very straightforward matchup.
Really?
I think it's a very straightforward matchup.
I guess that makes sense. What do you mean by straightforward? Because I feel like in some ways Peach is like really different than a lot of other characters. But I kind of see what you mean. But yeah, what do you mean by that?
Aggressively camp is what I say. So you kind of you don't go in, you kind of stay out of the range, because if you are playing Peach against a Fox or any fast character, you learn that you can't control the pace of the match as Peach, and it's all up to the other player. So I kind of just try and take control. I keep them in the corner and there, wait for them to come in, type of ordeal. So apparently I haven't lost to a Peach since 2019 on LAN. So
damn,
it's not super hard matchup. It's hard because it's Laud, but it's still just Peach at the end of the day.
That's a crazy statistic. And I mean, so how many sets did you play with Laud overall then? Because it was the pre-tournament and Low Tide itself. Was it like 3 sets? 4?
It was 4 sets over the weekend. Yeah.
Wow. Damn. That's convincing then, I would say. 4 sets is a lot. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's crazy. I remember we were talking at a very fond memory I had was Riptide coming out of the pandemic, just because it was like, the first tournament that pretty much I went to in like 2-3 years because of COVID. And I remember we were talking at that, and you were saying like, I don't know what your ranking was at the time, but you were like, yeah, I could probably get like top 50. Like, that's going to be, that feels like realistic, and I'm going to work towards that. And it was kind of cool because I had that in my head. This was actually, I don't know if you remember, but we were playing friendlies like while they were they were kicking everybody out of the venue, and I think it was like me, you, and like Logan.
Yeah,
it was Logan. Yeah, and you said that, and I was kind of like, yeah, that make like in my head, I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not, because already like in terms of like the tech skill and the combo game and the awareness and everything, like that was all there. So it just felt like it was just like couple more building blocks. So like, yeah, like what was that? I guess you set that as a goal for yourself. How'd you make that happen? You think like what like because I would say you had a pretty fast and steady rise since then. So like, was there anything like very conscious that you actually did, to kind of make that happen?
I think I just got lucky. I don't know. I
I
like
don't think so.
I got coaching from Emily, and that has helped out a lot. But I think it also is just I don't know. I feel like I got a little lucky.
Really?
I played a lot. I got, tips from Emily on what I should do. I played against good players and it just kind of, stacks onto each other and just kind of works. I don't know.
Well, there are people that play a lot and they don't get better, and they're probably very frustrated hearing that, Salt. Is there something about the way that you play when you play a lot, something about your learning process that helps?
Well, for me, so whenever I play friendlies with people, I'm never trying to win. I'm always just trying to experiment with new combo trees or how if I hit the opponent this way and they DI this way, what's like a different avenue of what works and what doesn't. And I've been doing that for a long time and that's helped. That's helped a lot. So I don't really play I kind of play tournament like friendlies, but in tournament it's a little bit more stricter of what how do I explain this? It's these are the things I found out that work. Actually.
Mm,
And I put into tournaments. So like it might look weird, but I know it works.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love that. I think that that's really given you your own distinctive flavor of Falcon, that looks so different from a lot of other Falcons because you can tell a lot of this stuff is your own. A lot of this stuff is just, I mean, some of it, you're borrowing, I think, from the meta or from other Falcons or whatever, but some of it's your own stuff and it looks good. And um, while you're on this upward trajectory, I mean, I was looking and you got ranked, I think, 31 for beginning of this
Damn.
year. And so now you're beating Axe and Laud. So I think, that number is going to go up if trend continues. What do you have a goal number for this year? Do you have a goal number that you're looking at overall? Is there like what do you try like and it doesn't have to be about rank, but what are you trying to what are you chasing after? What are you looking for in this game? What are your goals?
I mean, currently right now, I had set a goal after the SSBM rank came out and I just
Mhm.
wanted to be top 30. And I don't want to deviate from that. So I'm hoping when the summer rank comes out, I just have it's a it's like 20 to 30. But if I get higher than that, that's awesome. Um, but I guess end goal is that I guess end goal is I would want to be ranked number one at some point, and that'd be in the future. That'd be far into the future or soon. I mean, we don't know,
We'll see.
but we'll see. But when the next rankings come out, I'm just hoping I'm between 20 and 30.
Okay. Cool. Is there
Fire.
yeah, I love it. And is there so I mean, I think Pikachu and Peach are some matchups that I think a lot of players that may be rising up could feel a little more frustrated with because
Mhm.
those characters aren't as common. And as a Falcon player, I know that you actually really like fighting Falco, and so I'd love to hear about that. But before that, I want to ask: is there a matchup or a play style or anything like that that you find that you struggle with right now? Is there anything that you feel like I haven't cracked the code on this yet?
Not anymore. I know in the past it was a fox that would just camp me, and it wasn't
Mm.
because I couldn't deal with it. It was on I'm just mad. Like you're playing fox, who's like the only character in the game who can actually approach and make it work constantly, but you choose to shoot double lasers at me the whole game, and then I get mad and I get tilted, and then I still might win, but it's it's frustrating. So that and Box Fox are like the two, I guess, in the past that just stressed me out.
Would you say that's like the last matchup that you feel like you kind of got good at?
Yeah, it was Fox. I had a Fox problem for a while.
Got you. Got you.
Those
What do you
games are
think?
fun.
What do you think you're doing differently now?
I'm just grabbing them. That's about it. I'm just grabbing them
That
now.
does help.
Still
It
being
doesn't matter what
stubborn.
controller you have in the arms of Falcon, you are all equal.
That's what they say. Yeah, once you get a grab, any it's just a fox. Whoever it is, it's just a fox. Yeah, I think that kind of thing is really interesting because I feel like, especially, I don't know, coming back to like the Pikachu thing, like I feel like that's a matchup that historically, like, I don't know, like Falcon. You think wins that matchup? I have no idea because I feel like I've seen that matchup a gazillion times, like at all different levels of play, and I feel like that's definitely like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that Falcon players often like they want to do, like sometimes against Pikachu, it doesn't feel like you can really do it, but maybe you feel differently.
I think it's a 49-51 matchup on both sides.
Oh damn.
It's
Okay.
very volatile because, like,
Yeah.
sometimes the Falcon can absolutely obliterate the Pikachu, but then the same could be done as Pikachu to Falcon. It's a weird matchup to me. I don't know. It's like you're fighting a fox who's also like a sheik in combo weight, and it's weird. But
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think it's like even but
Pikachu's
volatile.
size too, right? Is weird for Falcon because it takes so long for his moves to hit.
And I think the one thing a lot of players struggle with is the tech frames or something on Pika because
Uh,
I think it's like an extra frame or two, and that throws people off. So that's also something you have to get used to.
yeah. Yeah, and circling back to the comment about Falco, I mean, most Falcons hate that matchup, or they have to put so much time into it, and they're like, okay, well, I guess I'm kind of okay with this now. But I think,
Mm-hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you actually like the matchup, and could you, for Falcon, I think it's either that and Fox, or maybe that's worse than Fox. Some people say, but can you tell us about why you maybe like that matchup and how you became so proficient at it?
I just like hitting the Pikachu.
The,
There's
the
so yeah, it's just like how I feel playing against the character. Like I have a weird way of looking at the game where, for example, Falco is like an origami swan and Fox is like a dot. Falcon's like a big boulder or something. So like whenever you hit these characters, it feels a certain type of way when you're colliding those two things. So I
Yeah.
guess it
The
feels good when I hit Pikachu with Falcon.
I think a lot of I think it's good to have these kind of ways of looking at the game. I remember when I was talking to HBox about like comboing different characters, he was like, because I was asking him about the downer, sorry, Pikachu, Jigglypuff will do like the downer loops, like downer, 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 down, like short up, downer over and over. And Hungrybox was like, oh yeah, that's really good against the human characters. And I was like, human characters? He's like, yeah, like the characters that are humans, Mars, Sheik, Falcon. I was like, oh yeah, those are human characters. That's true. So I feel like it's good to have the different like modes of like hitting this character feels like this, because then it kind of like gives you something to go off of when you look for your confirms. Um, do you feel like I got one more question for you because the meme that we kind of got into, for everyone who hasn't checked that out, over on the Golden Gardeners Melee channel, we did a bunch of roundtables at the Golden Gauntlet where we brought on basically all the players and kind of put them into groups of like a couple players per roundtable, and then we just talk about whatever. And the thing that kept coming up was Salt has a pocket everything, right? That was kind of the thing. You play a lot of characters at a pretty high level. So I got two questions there. I got two questions. One is, are there any crazy characters that you've been working on lately by any chance? And then the other question I want to ask was, we're talking about some of these harder matchups I guess harder for most Falcons. I don't know about you, but like let's say Falco, for example. But I know you got a cracked Falco. So do you feel like you having, the ability to play all these different characters, do you feel like that helps you figure out how to fight against them as Falcon? And sorry, I just asked you like two questions at once, so you can answer whichever one you want.
So I'm
But yeah.
glad you asked that because I've always thought so back whenever I first started, I had
Mhm.
problems. My biggest problem in matchups where it was Falco and Sheik. And so I would play
Classic.
Sheik against Falcon and I would play Falco against Falcon. But then I also had an Ices who would just wobble them if I just couldn't beat them. And then I had a Fox because, the character's broken. So, but no, I would play other characters against my main so that I can understand what they wanted to look for.
Mhm.
No.
I think that helps a lot. Yeah. I feel like that's like I was talking about this recently. Like, I want to pick up the next character I want to pick up is Peach. I feel like I don't understand Peach that well, and I feel like I need to learn how to play the character to understand what it's
Fun.
like. Yeah, she looks like a lot of fun. I guess okay, she looks fun unless they're camping you, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any crazy characters you're working on right now? Any low tiers, anything like that? Mewtwo.
No, I've been working on my Peach and my Icies. I was doing Icy handoffs. I did 8 in a row for the first time. That felt
Oh, damn.
crazy. That felt crazy. And then I've been working on my Peach, doing just float cancel nairs and all that because I think that character is actually really cool. Like I watch Ryo beats Peach combos. And
Yeah,
it's
Robbie's crazy.
it's insane to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I always thought that like Peach was like I don't know. I feel like back in the day, like the way that like people played Sheik, like the old school Sheik playstyle where you kind of down smash a lot and stuff, like it's kind of disinterested in the character. But I feel like the way the Peach community now plays the character like is really, really interesting. So yeah, I'm a big fan of like watching a lot of the modern Peach players for sure. Laud is crazy. Polish is crazy, Ryobeat for sure. Um yeah, PP, how about you? I think we can get into the community voice and start getting some callers on. We got a couple
Sure.
questions lined up.
Yeah,
Unless
we
you
got
anything else.
callers. We got callers. We got callers. So I mean, let's not keep them waiting.
Yeah. And if you wanted to ask, if you wanted to call in and talk to us, because we do have a couple questions, but we're not exhausted. The list isn't exhausted for the episode or anything. Just make sure you use !Radio Melee, hop into the Discord server. And it is that simple. You could just I think you have to react to just get speaking permissions in the README channel and the Assign Roles channel, and then you can ask us whatever you want in the channel called Submit Topics Here.
3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Roll through.
Every single week on Tuesdays. That's right. Let's take a look at the community voice from last week. I actually think I asked the community voice. Well, me and PP. And we were talking about a little bit about Battle of BC, but we were also talking about just I don't know. I wanted to zoom it out a little bit. So I basically think I posed the question: who do you think is going to be ranked number 1 at the end of the year? Just because I think people like there's no real wrong answer. Like obviously it could be anybody. Nahom Tesfaye, who's a recent caller. Love Nahom Tesfaye. Says Cody or Zane's going to get number 1. The J-Mook bubble will pop, but after a mid-year slump will show great progress, beat H-Box multiple times, and end up roughly where he was last year. Amsa will conquer Fox Demons, but his fellow top players will do better against him, and he'll be a spot or 2 lower than last year. It'll be a mango summer, but the competition will be tight by the end, and he'll be relatively coasting. Zane will be good throughout the year, but great at the end. Left-handed play will be inconsistent like last year. H-Box will be consistent like last year. Cody will be top 3 if he keeps up attendance. He'll still struggle against Mango. It'll be a mango summer. That's it. That's an interesting one. It's funny that that Amsa Fox Demons thing hasn't exactly panned out yet because if anything, Amsa dominated the rest of the competition. Beating J-Mook pretty solidly, beating Zane pretty solidly, but still struggling against Cody. Corey Amon says, looking forward to seeing 1 Cody, 2 J-Mook, 3 Amsa at the end of the year rankings. I'm rooting for Zane to battle BC, and I'm excited to see his Ices. I'm so sorry that didn't happen. I wish we could have seen that.
I hope for it too.
I know. It's yeah, I mean it just didn't I mean it's only Sheik, right? So we still gotta see Zane versus Sheik. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen soon. I think Zuppy's gonna pop off and beat Cody going in top 24. I think it might have been kind of close, but Cody definitely got the better of that one. Acklo's gonna beat Axe. If the best set of the tournament versus J-Mook for winners top 8. Oh, that would have been crazy. J-Mook is my pick to win the tournament because seeding seems to help him avoid Hungrybox, and the only Fox he's looked fallible against this year is S-Fop. And you could take the Brennan Hunt, PP.
Oh yeah. And we've got our prediction for Battle of BC winner. He'd like to see Zane get one this year since he was the previous number 1. And then we had the number 1 for 2023 being J-Mook. You only need to win like 4 or 5 majors to get the number 1 rank, and he's already off to a great start. What's interesting? I think we didn't see anyone real. I guess there was only one prediction for the Battle of BC, and they went with Zane as well, which I think is a pretty safe pick. But I think Cody's just been popping off. And as for the ranks, I mean, we see Cody on 2 of these answers, and then Zayn and Jmook and the other sort of in contention for the other one. So it's kind of interesting how there is kind of a split for the consideration for number one, which I think is an exciting thing for the game right now.
Yeah, and I think that like Cody getting predicted to be that high makes a ton of sense. I feel like yeah, Cody's somebody who I don't know. It really feels like Cody's a very complete player right now. Like he can lose to, Jmook or Zayn, but it doesn't feel like there are any roadblocks for Cody. The way that some of these other top players, it feels like there might be, they have like a problem matchup here or there. It doesn't really feel like Cody has a problem. I guess outside, potentially Mango, but that
Right.
kind of remains to be seen. It's been a while.
It does.
So,
It does. So
that's
yeah,
an interesting one.
yeah. Cody's looking. He's starting to. I mean, a lot of the sets were close last weekend. Really, encourage you guys to go check that out. But yeah, finals at least were convincing, and some of the games where he won were very convincing. So I think pretty exciting time once again to be watching Melee. Doesn't feel like anything's set in stone yet, and we haven't seen Zane's Icy, so really anything could happen.
Yeah, absolutely the case.
Well, I'm okay with taking callers if you gamers are.
Let's get our first callers in the call. We got a couple questions lined up, and our first caller of the day is going to be Sup, I'm Crimson. What's up, Crimson? Where are you calling in from, and what you got for us today?
Oh, I'm from New York, and I got a question for Salt.
Nice.
See y'all, by the way.
Oh, what's up?
Salt. You've had a lot of game fives with a lot of top players, with some examples being Zane, Left, Plup, Wizzy. And while you've shown that you have the ability to get it to the final stretch, what do you think is necessary to get it over the finish line in a sense? And does it give you any confidence as to the future of your Melee career?
A hard question. I've been clutching out the game fives more often than not now.
What do you think changed?
I think what changed is that, and I think this is a thing that happens with a lot of players when they go game five, or you know, they play against a top player and they're up 2-0. It just becomes like a blur because you start to think about, oh, I might actually win, da 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 da, and it becomes like a blur, and it just kind of like the next thing you know, you blink your eyes and the set's over and you lost, and it's just like, and so against Leffen and Zane and like all those people in the past, when I played against them and I went game five, it was like a blur because I think it was just the amount of dopamine that I had being game five against them and just knowing that it was possible overshadowed the fact that I was playing against them. And so I just started to make, bad decisions, or I would just get four stocked or whatever. It doesn't happen too much anymore now because I try to just keep the focus on the game compared to the past where it was just like, oh shit, I'm about to just, oh my God, you know?
Do you think having just the experience to be in those situations and know you can do it, does that also help you when you're back in them?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like this the same thing whenever you haven't played on a stage before and you go up there and it's a lot more nerve-wracking than it is, playing on a setup in the back. So I think it does help to be in that position a couple of times to be able to just start clutching it out.
And so do you have any, like, let's say you were coaching someone and they were nervous about these game fives, like, I can never close it out. I've been in this situation a lot. If you had to give advice to someone in that spot, do you have anything extra you'd say to them?
Yeah, so what I do, and it happened at LTC where I was up against Lod 2-0, and I started to think about, oh, I might win this set. I'm a being grands and blah blah blah. What I do is that I focus on the game. So I see he's doing a dash dance, he's pulling a turn up, he's trying to dash attack, he's doing this, he's doing that, and I'm like, okay, he's doing that, he's doing that, he's doing that. It takes away whatever I'm thinking about, prior to that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
just kind of
I
put
also found that helpful. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I also found that
What
really
what
helpful.
talk to me about that, PP.
Yeah, no, I always, it was funny. People would ask me a lot of questions like that when I was coming up. Why do you never get really nervous or think about when you're going to win or choke or whatever? And I was like, well, why would you do that? You're paying attention to the game. Why would you think about those things?
Mhm.
And so to me, it was always weird. I get it now, because it happened more to me after, I rose to a certain point. But yeah, no,
Ah.
when you when you are that clued into the game, when you're saying, okay, this is what they're doing, what can I do about it? Or if you, and especially once you notice those thoughts, you're like, okay, what is thinking about this going to do for me? Nothing. I just need to pay
Mm.
attention to the game. I just need to say, what are they doing right now? Do I have the lead? How can I play with that? Like, you can ask yourself questions that get you to focus on what matters, what's going to get you the win. And then, you can think about the meaning of it and everything outside of it, right? You leave the game for the game and the outside of the game for the outside of the game as much as you can.
Damn, it's that easy. You just think about the game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I love that.
it is just do it forehead sounding,
No,
but
yeah. No, I mean it's very beautiful. It almost reminds me of okay. So weirdly analogous. Okay, you know how they always say like, no one ever quits Melee?
Mm,
And that's because sometimes people try to quit Melee, but they don't actually get another hobby. So they're just like, I'm just gonna stop playing Melee. And then they can't stop because they don't have a new hobby that they care about to
mhm.
fill that void, right?
You got to take that
Um,
focus somewhere else. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I almost feel like what you're kind of saying is like it's not like imagine so the analogy is we're not talking about quitting Melee, but we're talking about not thinking about things that make you nervous.
Right.
And it's less about not thinking about things that make you nervous, but find something to think about that is more productive to think about, like neutral game, like how to play your the stock count, how to like take your focus, like get so focused on the gameplay that you forget about the stuff that was making you nervous. It
Right.
almost feels like that's kind of what you're saying is like it's not like stop thinking about, it's never about like stop thinking about this, it's like think about this instead.
Right. I mean, if you have a thought and you're like, "Oh no, now I'm thinking about it. I need to stop." Right? You're just
Right.
now you're
You tend to
thinking about
spiral.
not thinking about something, and it's all
So
a
it just
bunch of mess now.
spirals.
Right. Exactly what you two are
Yeah,
saying. And so,
that
yeah,
makes
you want to
sense.
you you know if you don't want to think about dancing pink elephants with top hats, you don't think about not thinking about them. You replace them with something else, right? It's
Mhm.
you could use you can make the example a bunch of different ways, but the point is to think about something else that's interesting to you.
Love it.
It definitely does help. At the Golden Gauntlet, whenever I played against None, sometime around game 3 or 4, I just started to think about tacos. I was really hungry. I couldn't stop, and then I just got destroyed because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
But
So
you weren't nervous.
I wasn't nervous. I just wanted some tacos. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's a fast. I mean, if the set goes faster, you do get to tacos faster. If that's any consolation.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Oh well, hey, good discussion. Thank you so much for calling in, Crimson. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Shout out Salt, just in general.
Heck yeah. Well said. Have a good one.
You too. See you.
See ya. All right, we got our next caller lined up. It is Polydank. Hello, Polydank. Welcome to the
Polydank.
program. Where are you calling in from, and what's your question for us today, gamer?
Wait. Uh, okay, that's better. I was listening to the stream, so I heard double.
Oh,
So,
all good.
yeah. All right. So, yeah, I'm calling in from Henderson, Nevada. So, just south of Vegas.
Oh, nice.
And I've been holding a question for you, Golden Guardians. So, my
Okay.
question is for today is what's the best way to get out of playing offline friendlies? Should I try really hard to win? Is it better to experiment with new options? Should I try to be chatty about the game or stay silent? I'm really curious about this.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You already talked about this some, right, Salt, where you were saying, you liked experimenting a lot and you felt that helped your growth. Do you have anything more to say about that, and also what they were saying about talking more or less helping your improvement?
I think it's a balance of both. Like if you're really trying to improve, like, or you're playing against someone who's at your skill level and y'all are both trying to grind, I don't think talking is like a good thing to do. But whenever I play with people, I'll like even if it's online, I'll hop in a call and
Mhm.
I'll talk, I'll laugh, because ultimately you do want to enjoy what you're doing. You don't always want to sit down and play and just have this stoicism. Is that the word?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. Right.
Stoicism about how you carry yourself into games. You still want to enjoy yourself. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I've done for years. I mean, sometimes I'll play against Cody, and I am just silent and I am just trying to get the most out of the games. But then other times I'm laughing and I'm throwing out a Falcon punch here or there, doing a moonwalk here or there, just having fun.
Yeah, and what do you think the importance of having fun for that is? Because I think a lot of people when they come up now, they're grinding Uncle Punch and unranked for 400 hours a day, and maybe not moonwalking and falcon punching. Is there? What do you think? Maybe what do you think that adds in?
I think if you, because again, ultimately it is a game, and for some it's a job, but you don't want to lose that the happiness you get from what you're doing. Because
Mhm.
if you can't sit down and enjoy what you're doing, then there's almost no point to doing it anymore. I like to. I've been playing for almost 9 to 10 years now, and I come back because the game can still make me smile and laugh and let me have a good time. Even whenever I'm getting just absolutely destroyed, I still have my fun.
Love that. Toph, did you have any extra thoughts about any of the topics raised?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, when it comes to like talking and stuff like that, I think it really just depends on. I mean, if the goal here is, I'm gonna assume that the question was asked from the point of view of like getting better. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I think that like,
Mhm.
okay, even looking at how like top players practice on stream, like if they are playing like online, a lot of the time they'll hop in a Discord call. And I mean, I do think that there's something to like, it really depends kind of what you're looking for, and also like kind of the styles of the people, like the people playing. And but when I say style, I don't mean like play style. I mean like how you are as a person. I think some people can do a better job playing and talking than others. It really depends. Like if you're the type of person that, or I mean, let's say like, let's say you're playing somebody and you're having a particular amount of difficulty like beating some option. I don't know, like Falco keeps like up tilting or something. Let's just say, and then instead of like 2 hours just sitting there quietly and like you know like getting frustrated, like, oh my god, I can't do anything about it. Like, you could ask them like, hey, how do I, like, what do you think I should be doing to beat such and such. I mean, it's possible to take this like too far, because like sometimes it is kind of better to kind of experiment on your own. But um no, I do think there is something to like potentially, especially depending on who you're playing, like, if they seem like they're up to it, I think there's definitely something to be said for like, you can talk about things, especially like between games. But for me, I mean, I'd say the number one thing is just being like in friendlies, like I think playing to learn instead of playing to win or whatever, I think is pretty valuable. Like I'll go into friendly sessions like specifically having like a goal in mind to like maybe I want to do um I'll give you an example. Like I really lately have been wanting to make my like platform tech chasing better. So I have like a goal where I'm like telling myself like, okay, I'm gonna go for a lot of grabs and go for a lot of up throws under the platform, and really try to make sure that I'm like cleanly getting like the up air and like getting like up air like regrab if they tech to the side or something, like I have a goal in mind that I want to like practice this specific thing, and so I'm kind of tailoring how I'm playing like around that. And I think that like, that way it kind of takes the um it makes it a little bit less results oriented, even if you're losing some of the friendlies, like at least you're working on what you wanted to work on. So you're not going to get, let's say you're playing someone who's way better than you, at least you're not going to feel like you're completely lost. So I think doing that sort of thing actually helps a lot. For me personally, like I'm a big fan of that. Like set a goal for like I want to practice this one thing and then kind of go for
Yeah. I mean, I think that's well said. And I mean, especially if you're playing someone a lot stronger than you, then you get lots of practice on your DI and teching and everything else, right? So there you can always, make sure, okay, how far can I go on this or not go, depending on how you're trying to DI. And that's always really interesting. And I think As far as talking goes, it's an interesting thing, right? Because talking is a two-way street. If the other person doesn't want to talk and you're trying to ask them questions all the time, they're just going to get annoyed, right? They just want to focus. They don't want to talk to you. But
Right.
if you have someone that also, is willing to improve, willing to have a little bit of dialogue, I think questions like, did you mean to do that? Or what were you thinking when you did this? Or what's difficult about what I'm doing, or is there any habits that I have that are obvious? There are questions that you can ask that can save you some time and can help you both grow, and you can offer that to the other person as well. So I think it really depends on how dedicated you both are to improving, how much you both like talking, but I think there's always an element to at least ask a question of like, did you mean to do that, or what were you thinking right there? And they can just say a couple words, but sometimes that can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's unless you have anything else you wanted to add, Salt, we can go ahead and move on. I just want to check in.
Um, Adding on to what Toph said about
Mhm.
practicing specific stuff, that is a really good thing to do. Back then, whenever I tried to learn how to CC, I put
Mhm.
a limitation on myself where if I shielded anything, I just SD. So I would try to win,
Mm.
but I would only win by not shielding, only CCing and doing stuff like that. Or in the recent times against Fox, I go for a lot more tech chases in my friendlies because I'm trying to get that up to par, so I could comfortably do that in tournament. Because tech chasing in a high stakes situation is pretty hard. Pretty hard. You get scared. You grab them and you think to yourself, "Oh, this
Here
could
we
be
go.
it." And then you do it down there and you freeze. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's another thing I've been practicing. So yeah, I agree with what Toph said.
Yeah, for sure, for
I've
sure.
noticed a lot of like existing top players got good this way too. Like Zayn is somebody who I really have noticed this style of improvement from over the years. Where like I remember I'd play Zayn in friendlies in like 2018, 2019, 2020, and like I remember one time like Zayn was just trying to power shield forward smash everything. It was like really or power shield up tilt, and like it was the kind of thing where like it's like oh, he's going for that so he can like work because like you're overdoing it in the friendlies, like you're doing it every time to where it gets predictable. But then on the flip side, you get so good at it and it becomes part of your muscle memory. So then you integrate it into you go from not doing it at all because you've never practiced it, then you do it too much. You're like overdoing it because you're really practicing it. You're like focusing on doing it. And then you dial it back to the level you should be doing it at, right? And I think that's how like Zayn, from my observation, has integrated some of these like techniques into his gameplay. Where now, he'll be playing and he's not really doing it. Then out of nowhere, like power shield up tilt or power shield forward smash. It's like, oh, where did that come from? So yeah, I think that style of improvement is like actually really, really beneficial. So you could try that, Polydang.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, hey, I think that's another great discussion all around. Thank you, Polly Dank, for calling in. Any shout outs
Mhm.
for us on your way out today?
You're welcome. That's all great perspectives. I guess I would like to shout out Vegas Melee. So I'm local to the Vegas scene, and shout out to Slump and Wacko who both got 33rd at the Battle of BC.
Oh, nice.
So that's very respectable. And
Very
Wacko
nice.
taking Polo to Game 5 as well. And then also JVAC for getting a win on stream.
Nice.
So yeah, those are my shout outs for today. All right, thank you.
All right, have a good
Have a
one.
great one, Polydang.
All right, too. Bye.
All right. Well, we've got our next caller already lined up here, so we'll go ahead and take him in. It is Downgrade Falco back at it again. Hello, Downgrade Falco. Where are you calling in from once again, and what's your question for us today, gamer?
Good evening, golden gamers. I'm calling in from Germany, Berlin, as usual.
Lovely.
Mhm.
My question goes out to all of you, and it is if you could change history and win one tournament from the past, which one would you choose to be the winner of? It could be a major that you participated in, or it could be a local or a regional that you participated in that really stuck in your mind and you really wanted to win that one. Which one would you choose?
Oh damn.
What a funny question.
Yeah, because like I could just say Genesis 1, right? And just be like, boom, Now I've won Genesis 1.
That's
I
such a
get it.
different timeline.
You know what I'm saying? And it's such a different timeline. But I always feel like that's like too cheating. You know, I wasn't anywhere close to it. I don't think I got out of pools at Genesis 1. So, or like I could say a tournament I wasn't even at, you know, but I feel like that's kind of not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
maybe we could just keep it like at a reasonable tournament.
Right. Tournament you were actually at. Maybe a
Yeah,
tournament you already did well
yeah,
at.
and maybe you had like actual good chances to make it
Yeah.
through bracket and you drowned in pools or something like that.
Damn, there was this there was this foundry I really wish I won. And I don't know why, but SFAT was going Marth, so I beat SFAT. And then I was like, and then I think Dewan was kind of drunk, so I beat Dewan. And Silent Wolf was in NorCal. So grand finals was me versus Silent Wolf, but I was coming from the winner side. And I remember thinking, like, damn, if I win this foundry, like over SFAT, Dewan, and Silent Wolf, like that's crazy, right? And he reset sorry. What was it? No. I was coming from losers. And then I reset the bracket against him, but then he went to pee for like 10 minutes. He took the longest pee break and it iced me out. And then he came back and like 3-0'd me. So I always think, like, damn, if I won that foundry, it would have been lit. So my answer is that foundry.
That's a good answer. We could have made the Toph documentary off that one.
Yeah. Well, no footage. No footage of that one. Well, I mean, there's probably like stream footage somewhere, but I don't think there was you know. All we had was that stream back then. Just the webcam view.
Still beautiful. Salt is I mean, I see you cooking over there. Do you want to think about it some more, or do you have your answer?
Mm-hmm.
I think I got my answer.
What's your
'Cause
answer?
this is a tournament that we could have won, right?
Well, it's one you've been at anyway.
There was Mega Minnesota Monthly where I played against Zuppy in grand finals.
Damn it, Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
I remember I think I almost got reverse 3-0'd. Or no, I almost got 3-0'd by Preeminent. Or maybe this was the one before. Because I went to 2 of them and I lost to Zamu in grand finals and then I lost to Zuppy in grand finals. But I think I regret the Zuppy one more. I wish I could have won that one more.
What would that have meant to you to win that one? Why would you want to change that one?
It would have been so it was a decently stacked tournament. I know at the time it was me, Bobby, Zuppy, Mech, Chape, J-Flex, Ben, Preeminent. Like it was a good tournament at the time.
Chape was there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a good top 8. And it would have been my first regional that I won. And I was so close, but then I had to fight this Box Fox, and I was having problems against Box Fox at the time. And I think I went I got 3-0'd in the first set of grand finals. Like I got 3-0'd, so it was really bad. And then set 2, it was I think game 5 last stock, and I just got back aired or something. I was so pissed. I was so mad about that. I wish I could have won that tournament. I think
Just so you wouldn't have been mad.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be mad. I got so mad, PP. Went outside and I threw a water bottle.
Oh, you did the lesson.
Yeah. I did it off camera though. Off camera.
Okay. I love that maturity from you.
Yeah, I gotta contain myself, and then I get off camera and I can act like a crazy person. But yeah, I wish I won that one. That was like a really good tournament. Would have got paid nice too. It was I think it was like a $400, $500 money match technically in grand finals. Like a difference.
That would have been juicy. That would have been nice. Yeah, I'm thinking for me, you know, if I want to drastically change the timeline, I think well, if I really wanted to drastically change the timeline, I don't even know what effects this would cause, but it would be Battle of the 5 Gods. But that's such a terrifying thought. I don't want to have it. So I'm gonna instead say something. I think one of the losses that I think shifted the timeline was me Armada at Smashers Reunion. Winning that one would have been pretty good because not only did I have that really good performance at the end of the first set, I just had it was just would have been. I think like winning that would have changed like Armada's view towards competition because they would have lost if someone came over, and then maybe he would have tried to compete longer, and maybe that would have changed things, or maybe he'd have burnt out faster and it would have been bad. I don't know, but I think I think that would have been an interesting one to win. But if I don't want to mess with the timeline too much, and I pull Assault, and I just don't want to be mad because I was also thinking about this, then um after I beat Hungrybox the first time, I lost to him the next 2 times we played, and I hated that because I knew what to do and I just wasn't doing it all the way, and that made me mad. And so doing that, so fixing one of those, either the when I went to Florida or when we both played in Georgia, I think that would have been good. So I think one of the one of those would have been nice. Would have liked that.
Yeah, Smashers Reunion was God, where was that?
That was in Norway,
Norway. Damn. Yeah, I
of
remember
all
watching that.
places.
What
It was.
that?
It felt like it was
2012.
2012. It felt like it was more rare for Armada to lose in Europe, especially back then.
Yeah, he
Locale.
just didn't. He just didn't lose. He just didn't lose in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, until Leffen beat him
Until
at
Leffen.
Beast. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I've never. I that happened 2 years before I started playing, and I don't think I watched that.
yeah, it seems to
Crazy.
be a trend. It's very strange for me to think about. Like people call me an old player, and I'm like, well, no, I think Ken's old, but I'm not old. But that's
Yeah.
like, I'm not used to that. But now I'm the boomer player, and it's weird, and I'm just
It's all
not
relative.
not,
It's all
not used to
relative.
it. But yeah, no, that if nothing else, watch Game 7 from the first set. You don't have to watch set 2. It's fine. It's not not a big deal. But
Oh,
Game
they did.
7
Oh, yeah. Europe kept doing the
yeah,
frickin'
they did best of 7
best of
finals.
sevens.
They did
Pretty
best of 7.
commonly, actually.
Best of 7 finals is what they were doing back then. I think after that tournament, it wasn't long after that they stopped. Maybe it was because of that set. I don't really know, or maybe we just standardized more. But yeah, that they still ran PAL for a number of years after that. I know when you were still playing Salt, I think some parts of Europe anyway were still running PAL for a little bit. And but yeah, they stopped the best of 7 not long after that. But yeah, that it was boy, they really put me through it out there playing Armada's Peach for 400 games, man.
Yeah, I bet. That's a lot. That's a hell of a lot. And that's
It sounds like
I know it
fun,
was
though.
just. What's that?
It sounds like fun though.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. I had a good time. And the change really didn't. And I played, all Falco back then, and the changes didn't really impact the set too much. So that was nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also the European crowd was like split down the middle, 50-50. So I got some cheering and he got some cheering,
Wow.
which was funny. But he just been winning so long. They were just so tired of it. They were like,
Yeah.
please someone else. But like there were people that were like, well, I mean, it's a close set, so we can finally cheer for Armada without feeling bad. I got to defend the home turf.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they were split. So it was a fun crowd too. So like it wasn't too biased one way or the other, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's always fun to think about. And I guess maybe a fun little history lesson for Downgrade Falco, who asked the question from Europe. Thank you for calling in today. And any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Yeah, thank you. While winning Genesis 1 surely is a dream of many, thank you all for your answers. I thought they were great. And my shoutouts today always as well go to Berlin Smash and to all of the Melee creators who produce awesome content around the game still after all those years. Have a nice evening, guys.
You
Appreciate
too.
that, Downgrade Falco. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, and we got time for one more. It looks like we've got Vincent rolling through. Hello, Vincent. Welcome to the program. Where are you calling in from, and what is your question for us today?
I'm calling in from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Ooh.
And my question is, with how close the skill gap is, do you think a player or character dominated era is still possible in the future of Melee?
Yeah, I think we thought it might happen with Zane. Like I want to say I feel like there was a chunk of time like right around, honestly, Mango kind of shattered this from happening with Smash Summit 11, but I felt like that period of time was the last That was like the last time it felt like really doable, like that it might happen, and then it kind of just didn't happen. And this was back when this was back when even players that that kind of do well against Zane now, like I'm thinking in particular Amsa. Amsa couldn't even really touch Zane at that point. Like Zane was it felt like Zane was mostly beating Amsa. So like,
I mean, we had people trying to go Sheik, trying to ban FD.
Yeah,
we had a lot of. We were like trying to stop Zane with everything we could.
exactly, yeah, they really threw the kitchen sink at Zane, and it kind of worked, right? Like Zane didn't end up being dominant in the way that you're kind of describing. I feel like that was the last time it seemed like it was going to happen, and now it kind of feels like, I don't know. It feels like the field is a little bit too wide open right now. It feels like people have too many like checks and counters, and I don't know what it would take for there to be that clear of a number one. So I'm gonna say unlikely, but I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, Salt, you're playing in it right now. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible anymore.
Why
Like
not?
in the past it was, but now I think that with Slippy coming out, it gives people, you know, I'm able to play with people in California or New York or Canada, practically anywhere, and I can get the practice that I do need. So I don't think that there can be a player or character dominated area. I just don't. I don't think it's possible anymore with the amount of resources that we have now. I I just don't think it is.
It would be interesting. I think if you don't think it could be a player, do you think it could be like a character becomes dominant if we switch it around that way?
Nope.
Character. Who would it be? Would it be Fox?
Yeah, maybe Fox or Marth, or if we get a bunch of more J Mooks, I don't know.
If anything, I think it would just be a Fox, but I don't think that there's any Fox that can just do that.
Well,
Mhm.
again, we're not
And
saying it's just one Fox. We're saying this is like
oh,
multiple Foxes. So like, could one character take up a lot of spots in top 8 or
oh,
so on like that? Could a
yeah.
character dominated era happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it already happens. If you watch Coinbox every 2 weeks, there's always like 4 Foxes in there.
Mhm.
You look
Yeah,
at any
or more.
tournament, there's always I won a tournament where it was me as a Falcon, and then I forget the character, and then it was actually just Fox, 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 Fox. And I'm like, what the? This is ridiculous. The character is crazy. So I guess Fox, he is like just the best character right now.
Mm-hmm. But when you say dominant, when you say to dominate the era, Vincent, I'm kind of assuming you mean like the way, like winning, not just. It sounds like you're kind of saying not just really like a really common character. It sounds like you're saying like literally just wins everything, can't be beaten.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
it
thinking
sounds
of
like you're
eras
saying like, yeah, talk to us.
I'm thinking of like eras like how you guys started off with like Zane's era or like Mewtwo King's reign. Maybe reign is a better word to like think about how I was thinking about the question. Like, do we
Okay.
think that there's a character or a player that will just go on a streak, like, or HBox even another example? Like,
Yeah,
is that
okay.
a possibility at like in the immediate or potential like distant future from what we're seeing today?
Yeah, it seemed like Toph
Yeah.
and Salt were saying no, or at least
Mhm.
unlikely on Toph's part.
I feel like it's unlikely. I don't know.
I would tend
Yeah.
to agree personally, but obviously I'm just a small voice here.
Just the way that, I mean, you can also just think of the way the community kind of trended, where at the beginning there was Ken, and Ken was kind of unbeatable, and then there was like Mewtwo King. You could say Mewtwo King, PC, KDJ. They're like, now they're like 3 people, even though really it was kind of just Mewtwo King. But then like all of a sudden now there's 5 people who can kind of win, and then these days there's like, it almost feels like there's maybe 7 or 8 people in that bucket who can like win a major. So it feels like the number has only gone mostly up over time. I mean, I know there was the Mango Zane tier kind of period through COVID, but it
And there
feels
was
like
Zane by himself, and there was Clutch God era.
right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like even those were kind of more the exception than the norm. Where in general, I feel like it's trended more towards like more people can win. I feel like it's a lot of things too. I feel like the way we talk about Melee now is just a little bit more. It's a little bit less mystical. Like I feel like in the Five Gods era or whatever, like I remember when Mango was winning everything. You know, people would be like, "Damn, why is Mango so good? Why does he win everything?" And then people would say things that just didn't make sense. People would be like, "Well, Mango has no habits. Like you can't read him because his brain is completely like." People would say shit where I was like I can tell you don't know what you're talking about. You know, the way people, I mean, you remember how it was, PB, the way people would talk about you. It's like, oh, he's so good at neutral, blah, blah, blah. But it's like people would say things that like they weren't really paying attention to the gameplay. Like they were kind of romanticizing it, but they weren't. And I feel like people aren't nearly like that to the same degree anymore. It's like, I think the way we talk about Melee, and when I say we, I don't just mean like, I mean players, like the way players talk about the game and players who are on the come up. I feel like there's a much higher level of understanding of what you should be doing. Like, so if you're a top 100 player, I feel like the average top 100 player knows, like kind of understands what they should be doing to a greater degree than what I felt like when I was a top 100 player in like 2013. Like, I didn't feel like I knew what the hell I was doing to try to get better. And I felt like I was throwing darts at a wall, you know? Versus now, like, I feel like just the language that we used to talk about the game, I think is a lot more developed. And I think that helps a lot because it's just less mystical. It's less mystical, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and let me offer a counterpoint. So I hear what both
Okay.
of you are saying. You're if I wanted to shorten it a little bit, I might say, all right, there is no way you can really hide tech or strategies that well anymore because people can play people more, and the way we think about the game is more developed. That's true. There's no real arguing with that. But there is one area that I think is still very underexplored, very underutilized, and I think is something that we've harkened back to on the show a lot between a lot of different players, and that is the emotional aspect. That is the competitive psychology aspect of the game. And I think when we've talked to Moki, Sunsei, Cody, Zane, J-Mook, blah blah blah, list goes on and on. What these people are saying is, well, what got me farther, what got me over the hump, what got me to maintain where I was for a long time was the way I thought about the game or thought about myself or was able to do that. And often when they lose these positions, they're like, okay, well, I wasn't doing that as much. And so I think if we can find a player that cracks that code for longer or is able to do that more, then I think that is going to, because if you think about it, if knowledge is equal, then it's going to be about whoever can execute on that knowledge. If we're just going to assume that if the characters can roughly win, if a lot of the characters can win the roughly similar amount. So I think it is totally possible for a player to still win a lot, but they have to figure out more of that code for longer. And so there are challenges to that, but I think we are moving in that direction as a community. And whoever can figure that out sooner, I think, can go on a longer run, and then maybe other people figure that out along with them. But we already see a lot of that being talked about, even with J-Mook recently talking about a lot of this stuff. So I think it is possible. That's my counterpoint to keep it interesting. If you guys wanna,
so you think the development is going to happen outside the game, not so much.
It could happen in the game too. Like I think, well, I watch Cody and I'm like, this is a terrifying human being. I think it could just be Cody.
You changed my mind. You changed my mind. I forget, esports and sports are the same thing, just on a different plane. And yeah, there's been sports that have someone who dominates completely for many years. I think, yeah, you're right. It is all up in here that determines who's going to be number one and who stays at number one for X amount. So it is a psychology thing. Yeah, no, I agree with you, PP. It's possible.
Yeah, again, this wasn't meant to, I was just going to throw it out there. You can, believe whatever you like. I think it's fun to have differing things, but I'm glad to hear that. And I think, again, so many people are making use of this right now. I think Salt's doing that too in her own way and things that she's talking about. And so I think it's an exciting time for Melee that we're only moving towards more. I think it comes up a lot for a reason. So I put that forward. But again, I think even outside of that, I think Cody is just someone that could just be that next player if he's so interested. It may be J-Mook. I don't know. He's got a lot going on right now, but he's definitely got potential for it too. So I think those are those are current possible candidates, and then we'll see what Zane's ICs do. But I think even right now it's a possibility, but I think as we project forward, I think it's more possible. But yeah, unless there's anything else, I'm willing to send Vincent on his way. Vincent, thank you so much for calling in. Fun question. Any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Yeah. Shout out Salt, some of the most exciting melee to watch.
Mhm.
And shout
That's
out
right.
PP Toph. Shout out both of y'all for
Thank you.
being around and making sure that everything in like someone like me who's watched for a decently long time. It's really exciting to hear your voices, and three of you, and the larger melee community is constantly growing because of people like you. And shout out to you, my main man Zeke. Got lots of love
Hey,
for
let's go
Zeke.
Zeke. Love a Zeke shout out.
That's right.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
See
Thank
ya.
you very much.
Okay. Well, Toph, I can. What are you feeling right now? Do we just take it over to community voice? That's our last caller.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a lot of good questions, and
We did.
shout outs to everybody calling in. But yeah, I definitely think that the last question has to be given by Salt.
Yes.
To all y'all on the YouTube comment section. So Salt, you can ask the good people, the good Golden Guardians Melee audience, anything you want. It actually doesn't even really have to be about Melee, but usually it is, just kind of traditionally speaking. But what do you want to ask them and have them reply to for next week?
And if you want us to stall, we can do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I need to stall.
All right.
Okay.
All right, we
Some
got you on the
ideas.
call.
Very frequently, a question gets asked that like it's something that got brought up in the middle of the episode. Like, say a caller said something you found interesting, and you're like, "Oh, I wonder what other people think about that." So you could pass that question on to the audience. Just try to be helpful. But,
Sometimes people do market research. We have people on there like,
Oh,
"What would
that's
you like to
true.
see more of?"
They just ask something that it's like that they have a personal vested interest in. Yeah, that's right. Like, what kind of videos should I make or some shit?
One time, SFAT asked, how would you guys define my play? So if you just want it to be all about you, it can be all about you.
Oh yeah,
It
that was
really,
pretty funny.
you can. What's your favorite thing about Salt? It really can be, but it can be, it can be, because I think you're a player that goes, you experiment a lot. Like you can ask them what they're experimenting with lately, or what's like a cool setup they have. Like there are all kinds of things that you can consider. I mean, you're from the Texas scene, which is pretty cool. Is a question I had written down that didn't get a chance to ask. You could say, well, is there a scene that you think's underrated? There's a lot of cool things in there.
Okay. Am I able to ask a philosophical question that makes you think
Yes.
about your life?
Yes.
Okay. I guess my question is, what are you here for?
Hell
Lit.
yeah.
Lit.
What are you here for?
What's your answer to that question?
Me?
Well,
Salt. Yeah.
Salt first. We'll do Salt first.
Okay, for me, I feel like I am here to. I've always wanted to help people, and I didn't know an avenue to do that, but I know that with this, I had an avenue where I can show people that, or I can help people who are also black, who are also trans, that if you want to do something, you can do it.
Love that.
Be it whatever you want to do, which is I don't know if you want to work in an office or you want to, I don't know, make art, music, play a game, play a sport, whatever. That it's possible that we're not just barred out, because as far as I see, there is a lot of trans representation, but there's no black trans representation anywhere that I can say. I can think of one person, Miss Moore, if I got her name right. One person, and she's like 80 something years. Other than that, there's no one. So I feel like I'm just here to, I guess, inspire people, help people, support people, show them that you can do whatever you honestly feel like doing with your life. So then I ask that to everyone else. What are you here for?
Beautiful. Toph,
Nice.
Toph, you looked like you jumped at the opportunity to answer, so I'm very curious. What
No,
what
I
are
just thought you
here
were
for?
looking at me because you said what did you think? I thought you were, for some reason I just thought you were asking me, but then I just realized you kind of just threw it out
Well,
there.
I mean, I didn't want to. I don't want you to feel left out. Do you want to answer, or do you not want to answer?
I've talked about mine before. So no, I kind of want to. I feel like it's more poetic if we leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's
Maybe I'll give my answer next. Maybe I'll give my answer
Yeah.
next week after all y'all give your answers in the YouTube comments and we're reading
Yes.
them out loud.
Nice
And then I
one.
want to hear your answer, PP, as well, because I know you've gone through quite a journey yourself in terms of, kind of what your goals are and your motivations and stuff like that. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We'll have that on next week, but we're gonna wrap up here this week. Thank you so much, Salt, for coming on. Good luck in your journey. Good luck inspiring others. I think you're doing a great job with that, and you're gonna do more of that here today. Please go check out Salt's stream in the meantime. Thank you so much, Toph, for holding it down. Thank you so much, everyone that called in, listened, tuned in, and watched. We're gonna be out of here for now, but we'll be back next week. This is Radio Melee, signing out, gamers.